tried to watch this video by Dr. Mike where I guess he's reacting to something, so, you know, I'm reacting to a reaction, but it's very Inception. Yeah, doctor reacts to obesity as a choice. This is kind of an interesting topic because it's a little bit, I guess maybe column A, column B sometimes, but I think more often than not, the degree to which a person is obese is a choice. Anyways.
We've reacted to the topic of vaccines on Middle Ground before, but now it's time to react about the question of whether or not being fat is a choice. It's going to be a worthwhile watch. Let's get started.
Being fat or skinny is a choice.
This is a very polarizing question. I think it's a false dichotomy. I don't think you have to say...
Again, to what degree, like, I think to what degree you're fat or skinny is a choice. It's a result of intentional action on your part. Would seem to be anyways.
It's one thing or another. But their community seems to say that it's not a choice. So that's interesting.
Being skinny or being fat is about willpower, who you choose to associate with, what sort of things you choose to listen to, who you choose to kind of have as your friends around you and support you. All of those things are choices that you can make.
Yeah, and you could easily point it.
I do think that is actually true. It's one of those things like, if you choose... Yeah, it's hard to forego or to rally against social conditioning. You will act like the people you're around. So it's one of those things. If you're around people who spend a bunch of money, guess what? You're going to spend a bunch of money. If you're around people who drink a lot, you're going to want to drink. And if you're around people who eat a lot gratuitously, yeah.
Did in the other direction and talk about the genetic components, the importance of those who raised you and how they taught you to think about food, the way that the frontal lobe developed when you were a child, meaning that if you had higher exposure to fatty foods growing up or unhealthy foods or ultra-processed foods, you may have a preference.
What are you still doing here? You still have not downloaded Pi Adblock? You know I'm just going to keep showing up on your screen until you download.
What has 2 thumbs and is a lot? I don't know. Maybe it works. For the record, I don't know about that thing, but I just generally assume when they come on with this type of faux sincerity and excitement, it's probably a scam.
For that, it's not as simple as just this choice.
Even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
The calories in, calories out thing is true, but then there needs to be a little bit of nuance here. And that nuance is certain calories will lead you to metabolize foods differently. Certain calories will lead you to want to consume more or less of a certain food. And certain calories can be unhealthy for you for other reasons other than your weight.
This is something I know almost nothing about, but like, yeah, there's kind of a vague axiomatic, like, just don't eat junk food. I tend to think that, like, the further away you get from some sort of naturally processed sugar or anything like that, like, the more processing that goes into making a thing, generally speaking, to my mind, the worse it is for you, and the more time it's going to take for your body to fiddle with that and break it down. So, like, the closer you get to something like that's actually natural, that occurs in nature, I would say the better off you are, just as a general rule.
This is why we're always against starvation diets or heavily restrictive diets on this channel, because in many instances, they actually create more problems like eating disorders, disordered eating, unhealthy habits, etc.
I was supposed to get blood tested probably when I was very, very young, and I never did. And they had mentioned that it could have been because of my weight and how that connects with my thyroid. And I never had like that leaning parent to be like, go.
Why does she have a cane?
Go and get checked out, go and do this. Like, your weight is probably not your fault. It was always like, your weight is your fault, so that's your issue.
That's an unhealthy mindset. If I have a patient that has not been worked up for a thyroid condition, for other reasons why someone may be carrying excess weight, we absolutely would check those things. If you have low thyroid hormone, we can give you thyroid hormone to boost those levels up.
I mean, I also struggle with thyroid and my own blood issues. I'm not quite sure, but I do see an endocrinologist and I go see a doctor.
And that's not available to everyone in the United States, especially those who don't have health insurance or are underinsured. And some people are insured but don't have adequate transportation, or they don't have paid time off from work.
As a disabled woman, I can't do a lot of
Okay, that makes sense. She's disabled. To what
the
extent?
things that people say, calories in, calories out, oh, you gotta go work out and exert it.
Can't exercise or stuff like that. She does. Hurt.
I have to navigate weight differently. I have to look at it differently. My weight is the way it is because of medication, because doctors put me in this position.
This is why the false dichotomy pops up in my head. If you're going to be very stringent and saying being overweight is a choice, full on, you're neglecting a significant part of the population who may be having a side effect of a medication, because there's many medications that we could put patients on to protect their health that as an unwanted side effect, they put on weight.
Right. Probably is true. I said this before. It feels like a medical intervention of any sort. It's kind of a No, maybe I hadn't said this before. It does feel like it's a calculated risk. There's a lot of ways stuff can go wrong, and a lot of mixing and matching that I think happens in your biology that is hard to calculate all the effects of it. So, like I did say, I think on my last one, I would tend to be a medical minimalist. Like, do what you have to, but avoid it when possible. Right? Because it's just naturalist generally. Yeah, why am I talking about this? I don't know.
Or they aren't able to lose weight as easily. And then there's those with disabilities that can't burn calories as easily as some who are able-bodied. So I think probably even a better conversation to be had here is obesity a disease? The AMA and all the major organizations.
It's like it can be. To some extent, again. I think it's like to what degree you are obese, to what degree you're skinny, to what degree you're fit or flabby. It is, I think, the result of you doing stuff, of intentional action, I think. But like the thing itself, like there are people who will probably never be skinny. I don't know if I ever will, really, unless I'm unhealthy to some extent. But yeah, I think it's partially under your control.
Have made it a disease process. They've labeled it a disease. The doctors who are saying that that's not helpful.
See, I don't like the whole idea of it being labeled disease, because like it seems like at that point it is then a thing that is out of your control, and it's one of those things where like people can take it easy on themselves, that they expect less of themselves and accept mediocrity in their own lives. I guess I want people to strive. I want people to try and do better and to get better. And to some extent, that means being a little bit hard on yourself sometimes, saying, yeah, you could be better than you are now, and to strive for that.
Are usually pointing out that when a patient feels
Although, I imagine in some cases, like people do have an actual clinical condition or something like that that might inhibit that. But still, it feels like in the majority of cases, you would want to just say, no, it's on you, like, you're responsible for your own life.
obesity disease, they feel powerless to make the change. The way that I like to think about it is, on a population level, it's certainly a disease because it affects our bodies negatively. It's certainly contributing to a public health epidemic. It's actually happening pandemic really across the world, obesity. On an individual level, we need to have providers who have good relationships with their patients to make the call. Is this something?
No.
So last night he used him. Honestly, not.
That I can present to my patient as a choice that will get them motivated? Or is this something that we can help them navigate through a medical perspective, where we can give them medications, surgeries, maybe lifestyle modifications if they are going to be motivated to it, and make that call on an individual level? But again, all medicine is...
Anyways, we'll stop there. Like I said, certainly there are situations where people do have some sort of actual clinical condition, and if that's the case, terribly sorry for you. But also, I think it's better, generally speaking, if people are taking agency in their own lives as much as is possible. I think it's empowering. I think it It helps you build your confidence and just lean into life a little bit. Exert some intentionality. Anyways, yeah, here's the video. Dr. Mike reacts to obesity. Is obesity a choice debate? So have fun with that if you like. Alright, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to.